Kaiser, keep an eye on Cluster. Sorry, Joe.
I'm going to take this one step further. I mean, if Brian Jordan can't hit the ball hard, then he really doesn't help you any offensively. And, you know, I'm just wondering if you give him a couple of days, maybe, you know, his hand will feel better.
If it comes down, Ordonez will register the third out. That one almost brought him down to the turf. A major league pop-up after a major league home run. Chipper Jones, 2-run home run, and the Braves lead it 2-0.
Dos entradas, $20.
Oral Hershon.
And all of a sudden you get it up to Chipper Jones, you don't get it in, and he hits the ball out of the ballpark. The other guys may hit some singles or something, but Chipper's swinging so well right now, he's going to hit the ball out of the ballpark.
Mike Piazza leads off the second inning for the Mets against Tom Glavine, Piazza, Ventura, and Benny Agbayani.
Well, in between innings, Bobby Valentine was out talking to home plate umpire Charlie Williams. And I didn't know what he was talking about, but when he left, he spread his hands far apart as if to say the plate's gotten this wide. You know, and they had a long conversation in between innings.
Count is 2-0 to Piazza. Glavine did not give in, but doesn't give him a strike either at 3-0. Charlie Williams, the plate umpire. Greg Gibson at first. Ed Rapuano from Connecticut. Second base, Jeff Kellogg, the umpire at third tonight. Piazza taking 3-1. Every year in the bigs, 300 hitter. I mean, not to mention the power. But every year. Hit pretty well to right field, but Brian Jordan is there, and there's one out.
Even though he hit the ball pretty well, that's what Glavine wants you to do. That ball is off the plate outside. You're not going to be able to hit it out of the ballpark, and he wants you to go the other way, away from, you know, your power. And so he accomplished a lot in that at-bat with Piazza. He showed Piazza he wasn't going to give in, and yet and still he got the 3-1 and still was able to get him out.
Robin Ventura, 30 home runs, 306 hitter on the year. Ventura, of course, coming over from the Chicago White Sox. There you see his offensive numbers. A 5-time Gold Glove winner in the American League at third base. Maybe he starts this year in the National League. We'll see. Then there could be a few Gold Gloves awarded to the Mets this year, Joe.
Yes. Well, I'm sure there will. I know shortstop, and you never know. Matt Williams is a good third baseman. There are a lot of good third basemen in this league as well.
He's not bad. I don't know, defensively quite in the class of the guys that we talked about, but we take our chances, wouldn't we, Joe?
And he's much better, and he's getting better each year.
Yep. Brett Boone to Ryan Klesko, 5 up, 5 down thus far for Glavine. You know that guys like this know, I'm not saying that you don't pitch as hard or try as well in the, quote, midsummer game against the lesser team, but they know what time it is, don't they?
Well, everybody's concentration should go up a little higher this time of the year. The one problem you have when you play baseball, it's 162 games. You cannot be up for 162 games. I mean, your concentration level, everything perfect every single night or every single time you go out there. But the good players can turn it up a notch and concentrate really hard in particular situations.
How about the game Smoltz pitched last night?
Yeah,
New delivery. I mean, they're all gamers. That's why the Braves, year in, year out, have won the NL East, and before that, the NL West.
Right.
We got no decision again to John Smoltz, but I'll tell you what. Would you feel pretty good about having him on your staff?
Well, he had to pitch a great game last night because Rick Reed pitched a great game for the Mets, so he matched him.
Count is 2-1 on Benny Agbayani, who came up and immediately became kind of a matinee idol. And here's the first base hit of the game for the Mets. Young man from Oahu delivering a 2-out single to center.
One of the things I'm surprised about with both of these pitchers is that they're getting the ball up. Glavin's gotten the ball up several times in this game, and so is Hershiser, and they're not guys that can pitch up in the strike zone. They get the ball up, and they're going to get hit. That pitch was up, but he had 2 strikes on Agbani, so he was able to just line it back through the middle instead of turning on it and trying to drive it.
So Darrell Hamilton came over in a midseason trade by general manager Steve Phillips. One of many moves he made. Came over from Colorado in a deal that sent Brian McRae out there. And Hamilton hitting at .315. Is it better than that as a New York Met? And we told you at the beginning of the game, originally Sean Dunston was penciled in by Bobby Valentine to go in center field. And even as late as about 10 of 7, he was still wondering whether, well, you know, I'd like to play Hamilton. We have a day game tomorrow. Will Hamilton's knees make it? He played the hunch, and Hamilton, of course, wanted to go.
Well, I think you have to worry about today. And in the pennant race, you worry about today. And then when tomorrow comes, we worry about that day and how you're going to deal with it. But each game is so important that you have to make that the most important priority that you have. You can't worry about this tomorrow or next week. Today is important for the Mets because they've already lost the first game here, and they've lost 6 out of their last 7 here.
Well, Bobby was thinking that because he said, I want my regular center fielder in there. Little chopper by Hamilton. Coming on is Walt Weiss. And Weiss gives them better defense at shortstop, makes the play. Hamilton is gone. 2-0 Braves going to the bottom of the second. Bottom of the second inning, Chipper Jones' 2-run home run, his 44th of the year, and his 3rd in 2 nights against these New York Mets, has given Atlanta a 2-0 lead over this man, Oral Hershiser. 7-8-9 for Atlanta. Eddie Perez, Walt Weiss, Tom Glavine to hit. Chris Berman along with Joe Morgan. Game 2 of this 3-game set. Tomorrow afternoon, Greg Maddux, Al Leiter. Game 3, swinging to the first pitch, and glove foul by Robin Ventura. Eddie Perez. Well, since Javi Lopez is out with the ACL, and I told you, Joe, we spoke with him before the game, and in a month and a half, he already, I said, well, how far can you get with the degree of the bend in your knee? I said 146 degrees already in a month and a half. So his rehabilitation, obviously not going to help out for October, is way ahead of schedule. That's good news for the Braves. But it's Perez and Greg Myers and Fabregas, the 3 catchers on the roster now. So they lose big-time offense.
What you're actually saying is that his rehabilitation of his knee went faster than yours.
Yes, and I wasn't worried about if I could make the crouch either, you know. Mine is still not at 104. I don't think it ever was at 146 degrees. Had a different injury, though.
The one thing you have to remember if you're the Braves or the Mets is that these 2 pitchers will settle in at some point and start getting the ball down. And you better get them early, and the Braves have taken advantage of the high pitches from Hershiser early in the ball game. But they will find their rhythm and just get the ball down. Both of them made a lot of mistakes the first inning there. Hershiser didn't get away with any mistakes. Glavine did.
That is 1-2 to Perez. Well, you know, Oral Hershiser has pitched better in August and September than he has in several years. Better than he has with the San Francisco Giants a year or 2 before this. And better, really, I think, Joe, than his last couple of years with Cleveland. He credits a different sort of training program. He said, don't get me wrong, the guys San Francisco and Cleveland were great, but we learned a little more about shoulder exercises, and this is a long way of being out of play. And he is stronger. Now, by mid-August last year, Oral was 5 innings, maybe. Well, he's not that way anymore. Not this year, Joe. Oral had turned 41 on September 16th. So he's 41. Ricky Henderson out of left field is 40. Little chopper to Ventura. Well, Kind of a flip-flop throw over to Olerud, but there is one out. The last time the New York Mets were in the postseason was 1988. It was Game 7 of the NLCS, and they faced Orel Hershiser at Dodger Stadium. The Cy Young Award-winning Orel Hershiser. Complete game shutout. Howard Johnson, the last out. The Dodgers moving forward toward the World Series, in which Hershiser would be the MVP with wins in Game 2 and Game 5. The World Series in which Kirk Gibson hit the home run. That was a long time ago, and here he is now, oddly enough, trying to pitch the Mets back into the postseason for the first time since he personally got rid of them in Game 7. What goes around comes around, Joe, and what a season he had that night, that 88 season. It's as good as we've seen. All the breaking Drysdale's record for 58 2/3 consecutive scoreless innings. Walt Weiss pops out to second base. He was overpowered.
Yeah, he's a different pitcher now than he was then. He had the same assortment of pitches. He just threw harder and was just a more overpowering pitcher at that time. But he's a lot smarter now.
What you're saying is, as Bob Dylan would say, he was so much older then. He's younger than that now. Tom Glavine, pretty good hitting pitcher, but not good enough. On this at bat, Alfonso to Olerud, 3 outs in the infield. 2-0 Braves after 2.
Tell you why the Braves are ahead. Both pitchers are just finding their stuff. In the first inning, watch, Glavine gets the ball up to Henderson. He doesn't do anything with it. Alfonso doesn't do anything with it. Now, in the bottom of the first, Hershiser gets the ball up. Boone finds the gap, gets it up to Chipper Jones, 2-run homer. So both of them made some mistakes in the first inning, but Glavine got away with his. Hershiser did not. And they both will settle down, as they're doing now, and get the ball down, as we saw right there. Both of these guys will pitch from the belt and below, and in the first inning they were above the belt, but you will watch the rest of the game, they will stay down.
Ray Ordonez over the head of Glavine, charging his Brett Boone. Nice scoop by Ryan Klesko, as we said. Hadn't started first base for a few weeks. Klesko makes the play, and there is 1 out.
Well, I'm going to give the play to Boone. You can give it to Klesko. It's a great play by Boone. He catches it in between hops, gets rid of it quickly. And I'll give him a slight star on that. He did help him out a little bit. But Boone, that was a very difficult play. A slow chopper over the mound is the toughest play, I think, for a second baseman to make. And he made it very quickly, nicely.
Glavine pitching to his counterpart, Orel Hershiser, misses for ball 1 for Klesko, Joe. This is his 59th start at first base, as you see Orel's numbers. And Orel's lifetime is a better hitter than this, but I mean, he is, you know, at 41, you may not be able to hit 400 anymore, but I started to say Klesko, 59th start at first. He started 50 times in left. Hershiser going into the season was a 208 lifetime hitter, which is pretty good. Both he and Tommy Glavine are great athletes. As a matter of fact, as we mentioned, pretty good athlete and normally a pretty good hitter. Oh, Andrew Jones bluffing a throw to first.
From center field, obviously you can throw a guy out from right field, but trying to throw something out from center field, I haven't seen that done before.
Does that, if it's a certain pitcher and you do that, will we see a little inside pitch to Andrew Jones the next time, Joe?
That's pretty good hitting right there by Hershiser. He just tried to put the bat on the ball, and here's the bluff by Andrew Jones, but he thought better of it. He really didn't have a chance to get Hershiser at first base.
So Orel aboard with the second base hit of the Mets. Agbayani a single in the second. Now Hershiser a 1-out single in the third, and that'll bring up Ricky Henderson, the ageless wonder. Ricky born on Christmas Day in 1958, so he's approaching his 41st birthday.
I'm laughing because I was surprised the first inning, the second strike to Ricky, he didn't question it. This time, the first pitch, he called strike 1, Charlie Williams does, and Ricky questions it because this was about the same pitch as the first inning, but he didn't say anything.
Count is 0-2 now to Ricky, and he's looking back at Charlie again, isn't he? Catching a little glance.
Yeah, that one was a pretty good pitch, though. You know, that was that's why Ricky went after it. But that's what Bobby Valentine was talking about earlier. He came out and I guess he questioned the strike zone from Charlie Williams, how wide the plate was anyway. But that could be a little, you know, kind of a psychological thing to get Charlie thinking that maybe he's moving too far out with the strike zone.
He tried it out there again, did not get it. 1-2. Ricky Henderson. He says he wants to play 5 more years, Joe.
Yeah.
Wow. You got to have maybe 4,000 stolen bases by then. Slow bouncer to Boone, and he has to flip it backhand because Hershiser did a good job running to get in his sight line. So Henderson's gone. Hershiser at second with 2 out. Billy Pito in the studio. What do you have?
Here's what we have, Chris. Damon Buford, Boston center fielder, just 1 error in 82 games before tonight. He made an error earlier, and here with the bases loaded in the second, David Segui to Buford in center. Oh, my heavens. His second error of the game. Run comes in to score. It's now 8-0 Toronto in the top of the second.
Well, Boston's been so hot, Joe. Thank you, Billy. I mean, they've been so hot. Oakland, I mean, they're just wondering if Boston will ever lose a game, as are the Yankees. But tonight it looks like they might come up a little bit short, and that might breathe a little life down in New York and in Oakland. We'll see. Gardo Alfonso flew out to left field in the first inning. 2-0.
And I think that's what Bobby Valentine was hoping for, that Glavine was not going to get those pitches out there. And that's why he went out and talked to Charlie Williams.
In there for a strike, taking is Alfonso. Alfonso from Venezuela.
There you see what Glavine does best, though. The count was 2-0 and he didn't give in. He didn't give a fastball in the middle of the plate. You know, he threw a sinker low and away on the outside corner, knee high.
Hit to right field. Brian Jordan had a good jump on it and corrals it near the warning track, puts it into the stands, says have a souvenir. And the Braves maintain their 2-0 lead with Chipper Jones 2 up third. By the wind chill, the frozen tundra of Turner Beach here, Joe. I mean, it seems like it's in the 50s now, doesn't it? This is it's kind of like candlestick garb.
It was a little windier last night, actually.
Well, close to a full house. Which at least give off a little body heat.
And you can see the difference, Chris, in Hershiser where his strikes are now. That pitch is knee high and away. And we saw Glavine do the same thing. And I think they've both settled in now, that you're going to see the best that they have on this particular night. They're not going to make mistakes upstairs over the middle of the plate. They're going to either get the outside corner knee high or inside corner or just off. They're not going to be making mistakes in the middle of the plate because I think they've both settled in now. And no matter what we say, this is still a big game. And you still have little jitters when you go out there to the mound. And when you don't have butterflies, it's time to quit, because anytime you go to the mound in a big game, you do have little jitters, you know, to start with. I mean, the players, the hitters do as well. Everyone does. And then you settle in.
Well, these guys know better than anyone what it takes to be successful in these pressure cookers. You know, talking to Chipper, who must have the proverbial ice water in his veins. Talking to Mike Piazza before the game, he said, you know, I thought we were a little tight, but then he said, I thought they were a little tight.
And they were. I'm sure they were. Look, they're professional baseball players, but they're also human beings, and these games mean a lot.
Gerald Williams hits it to left center field. Darrell Hamilton gets a good jump on it, and there is 1 out. Well, a team that's very much interested in what the Mets are doing here is the Cincinnati Reds. They're our late game on ESPN. They're at the Padres. They lost last night to San Diego. Bob Carpenter, Rick Sutcliffe on the call. There is UMass's Ron Villone. Will pitch for Cincinnati tonight against Andy Ashby, ESPN 2. The San Francisco Giants at the Los Angeles Dodgers. And the Dodgers have beaten the Giants last couple of nights, and they're mathematically alive, but Joe would take a major miracle, as Arizona just is too tough.
They played very well. Giants played well for a long period of time and also struggled lately, but...
Well, they were 20-6, Joe, and lost a half game, and that'll just, okay, we surrender.
Well, it's hard to continue to play on that pace.
And not make up any ground. Brett Boone doubled and gets a little chin music from Hershiser. Well, you see Boone out there, and you look around this Braves team, there are not many at all who are in this lineup. Not only the last time the Braves won the World Series, which was 1995 against Cleveland, but the last time the Braves played in the World Series, which was 1996 against the New York Yankees. I mean, Lemke was second base. Blauser was shortstop. Obviously, Javi Lopez would be here, but, I mean, he's hurt. McGriff was at first base. I mean, you go down the list, and Justice was in the outfield with Grissom. Ordonez. Nice play to Olerud. 2 outs. Well, you wonder why the Braves won one game and are ahead in this game? Chipper Jones. Home run in the first last night. 1-0 Braves. Home run in the 8th last night. 2-1 Braves. Final. Tonight with Boone at second base, first inning. Home run. 2-0 Braves. 12 for 25 for a 40-80 average. 6 homers, 11 RBIs in his 7+ games against the Mets this year. 6 homers and 11 RBIs. So that's a great month for a lot of players, isn't it?
Well, you see they're going to stay inside. I mean, if you're going to get him out, that's where most teams try to pitch him. In tight off the plate. But you just cannot make mistakes in there. I expect Hershiser to just try to sink the ball away and stuff. No, he stays inside. I mean, it's great to pitch him in there, but if you miss 6 inches, then it's another run on the board. Yeah, now this is what I expect him to just, you know, show him inside and then turn the ball over outside or throw something, a backdoor breaking ball, but just try to stay away from him. That's what you want to do right there. Sinker away, let him hit a ground ball to the right side.
Olerud to Hershiser, and newsflash, Chipper Jones made an out. 1-2-3 inning for Hershiser. The Braves lead at 2-0 behind Glavine. Tom Glavine, so far like days of old for the Cy Young Award winner of the National League. And Tommy, in voting today, the Braves and Mets Major League Players Choice Awards, which we'll be able to present for the 3rd straight year. Who is going to be the Players of the Year, the Players of each league, the Pitchers of the league, the Rookies, and the Outstanding Player of the Decade for the 1990s. Players around Major League Baseball started voting on that today. This year, Joe, on ESPN from Las Vegas, Friday, November 5th at 8:30 Eastern. John Olerud, inside-out swing, and this one will fall in front of Gerald Williams. So Olerud is aboard for Mike Piazza.
That was a good pitch by Glavine, and actually he just reached out. He broke his bat on the play, and that's why it didn't carry all the way to the outfield. But a good pitch and good hitting by John Olerud. He was going the other way. Watch where the pitch is. This is what Glavine wants to do. See the target? Watch the target. Right out there. And Olerud broke his bat, but he got a base hit.
So the dangerous Mike Piazza flew out to Jordan and Wright to lead off the 2nd inning. In there for a strike.
The key to Glavine pitching to someone like Piazza is to keep him honest. Don't let him just lean out over the plate. He's pitched him away, away, away. But he's going to have to come off the plate inside just to keep him from leaning out there. And that's what I'm talking about right there. Going to go inside, keep him from leaning. Now that tells Mike Piazza I can't just lean out there because he may come inside with a fastball. As Tony Perez used to say, you think out there, but don't go out there. Well, he got a fastball in the middle of the plate. Mike just fouled it back. And Mike's upset with himself because he had a good pitch to hit. Watch this fastball. It's right there for Mike to hit. Not away, not in. It's just right there, and he fouled it straight back.
Two and two, way outside.
And one thing Eddie Perez is doing, he's doing a great job of not setting up too quickly. He's staying right there, and then he moves outside or inside. He's not moving too quickly so that the batter would get a feel for where he is.
We'll do it again at 2 and 2. I guess Piazza's now played long enough, Joe, that you can say he has been one of the best offensive catchers ever.
Well, if not the best.
6-year average, 33 homers, 107 ribbies, 333. That's an average season.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if there are many catchers that have averaged that in their career.
It's not bad for a guy that was picked the 1,390th pick in the 1988 draft. And only because Lasorda said, whoa, we will see it, and we're tied at 2.
Well, see, it's not really the strike zone that's hurt Tom Glavine. It's where he throws some pitches. Again, this pitch is right in the middle of the plate. Piazza fouled the first one back. This one he doesn't foul back. Now, you watch the location of this pitch. Right in the middle of the plate.
Joe, that was an absolute bomb. The wind is coming in from left center field. I know it didn't go way up in the second deck, but, I mean, look, he hit that into that wind. Yikes.
All right, watch this pitch. It's supposed to be inside. Where is it? Right over the middle of the plate. And when Mike hits it, Glavine knows it's gone. Everybody knows it's gone. And that's something you didn't see Glavine do a lot of, you know, when he's on top of his game. He doesn't make mistakes in the middle of the plate, especially when he's ahead in the count. He will either get the ball down and away off the outside corner or off the inside corner.
Robin Ventura slices that one over the dugout. For Piazza, he now has hit 4 home runs off Glavine in 38 at-bats. His batting average is around 400 lifetime against Tommy Glavine. There aren't many players that can say that, Joe. That was just an absolute bomb. His 37th homer, he now has 117 ribbies on the year. Ventura's gone, 1 out.
Both Mike Piazza and Chipper Jones are very similar hitters. You can get them out with good hard stuff inside. You can get them out with a good fastball up and in, off the plate in. They like the ball out over the plate. So if you try to go in and you leave the ball in the middle of the plate, they both do the same thing with it. But they're very similar hitters.
You know, I'm still not in shock because I've seen Piazza hit the ball like way over where the buses park at Shea Stadium, you know, and that was almost like the sweet spot of a tennis racket. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It was that pure where the ball hit the bat. My goodness. So we're tied at 2. The Mets have out-hit the Braves 4-2. Maybe it gets them off their hitting doldrums here in this park. A broken bat. That's going to be a tough play for Jordan. Too tough. And Agbayani is on with 1 out to bring up Darrell Hamilton. We bring up Bill Pito.
All right, Chris, Rafael Palmeiro, 5th in the American League in average, 2nd in RBIs, and now he's going to be 2nd in home runs. Number 45, passing Carlos Delgado into 2nd place, 2 behind Ken Griffey Jr. for the league lead. It's 4-1, Texas in that game. Meanwhile, Garrett Wright mowing down Detroit. Indians lead the Tigers 5-0 in the top of the 5th.
And I guess we saw Robbie Alomar get his 2,000th hit in that game.
It's going to be tough to pick the MVP in the American League, I think, this year. Very difficult.
Well, I mean, you get a couple of Yankees, of course, Jeter or Bernie Williams.
Right.
Pedro Martinez should be considered, as though he's a pitcher.
Right.
But you got to consider him, right, Joe?
Well, I wouldn't vote for him, but
but he will get
I agree with you. Look,
I'm just running through the candidates.
No, he's very, very good. And look, he probably deserved it as much as anyone.
There goes Agbayani. Slow chopper that Boone will have to hustle to get over to first base to Cresco to get Darrell Hamilton, but Aguayani, potential go-ahead run, is down to second base.
I just believe that the pitchers have their award, and that's the Cy Young Award, which is the same as the Players Award. I remember Kirby Puckett lost the MVP, I think, to Dennis Eckersley one year, and he said, well, next year I'll try to get a lower end run average, and I can win the MVP or something. But, I mean, I think that he can win the Cy Young Award, I should say. I really think the award is for, you know, the players, and the Cy Young Award is for the pitchers.
Well, they're going to walk Ordonez with 2 outs to put runners at first and second and pitch to Oral Hershiser, who, oddly enough, has a base hit tonight. I know you started the conversation because we saw Palmeiro and what a great year he has had for the Texas Rangers. Unbelievable. Alomar for Cleveland, right?
Alomar, Ramirez.
Great.
You know, I mean, all of these guys are just have an unbelievable season. And, you know, like you say, you have Jeter and Williams. There are a lot of good candidates for the MVP this year. And, you know, I'm happy to see that, you know, Roberto Alomar is in there as a second baseman or a middle infielder, because it's very difficult in this day and age for a middle infielder to win that award, you know, because the guys are hitting 50 home runs, driving in 160 runs. It's tough for a middle infielder to match those numbers, except that Alex Rodriguez and now Jeter. So,
well, you would know.
Yeah.
You won it as a middle infielder.
But I think that these guys should get a lot more credit than they get for what they bring to a ball club.
So Hershiser has a chance to give his team the lead. Pitched up high, but Oral swung at it, 0-1. These two guys, I mean, it's just an aside, are good enough athletes. Glavine and Hershiser, we started the discussion, both could have played professional hockey. And they were that good as youngsters.
Well, there are a lot of hitters that wish they would have played hockey over the years.
Oral played... was it with the Flyers junior A team, and Tommy Glavine was drafted by the Los Angeles Kings. But I think they made the right career choice, and here they are, decade later, battling. The director, Dougie Holmes, the hockey director, reminds me that ESPN next week we start pucks already, Joe. They skate the Stanley Cup around Dallas, so Dallas won the Stanley Cup. San Antonio won basketball. The Astros feel it must be their turn for baseball. Who knows? Who knows? 0-2 pitch to Hershiser. In the dirt, outside. Does he just nibble outside until it's almost 3-2? What does he do?
Well, he threw him a curveball. I think he can throw him something off speed. That was more of a changeup. He took a little off of his fastball.
Nibbles outside. Perez tags just in case, and so Glavine strands through, but not until Mike Piazza hits an absolute bomb. And we are tied in Atlanta at 2.
El PGA Tour presenta el Abierto Reno Tahoe de 1999.
Oh, Atlanta, indeed. The Mets and Braves are tied at 2 in the bottom of the 4th inning. What a wild start to the NFL. And Sunday on ESPN at 8:15 Eastern, the New York Giants, they should bring their defense this week against the 2-0 New England Patriots from Foxborough. Monday night, the San Francisco 49ers and Steve Young take on Jake the Snake Plummer. Monday night in Arizona, as the Cards have their home opener on a Monday night ABC at 9 o'clock. Swing at the first pitch here in the bottom of the 4th inning is Ryan Klesko. Pops up in the infield. 1 pitch, 1 down for Hershiser. Come on, George. You know, ever since Chipper Jones' home run, Joe, in the first inning, and then Klesko walked on 4 pitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in a row retired by Hershiser.
Well, I expected that simply because, I mean, these are top-notch pitchers. They know how to find their rhythm out there on the mound, and they know the mistakes they were making in the first inning. See, everything is down now.
Ordonez to Olerud, and there are 2 outs. Brian Jordan gone. That'll bring up Andrew Jones, who seems like every night makes a highlight catch in center field, doesn't he?
Yeah, but I think Andrew Jones is the key to the Braves' season the rest of the way. I think he's the guy that can get hot and carry the ball club for a little while, because the teams aren't going to continue to let Chipper be the one to beat them. And I think they're going to have to find some offense someplace else. Chipper, either Andrew Jones or Klesko, one of the two are going to have to step up and, and take some of the load off of Chipper. I don't think Brian Jordan can do it. I think his hand is such that he's not going to be able to really drive the ball. And that's a shame, because he was an MVP candidate, before he got hit by Thurman from Montreal. I mean, he was driving in runs. He was leading the team in RBIs. He was doing everything.
Pitching is Jones, but not coming up with anything on the hook. Well, there's their MVP candidate, that's for sure. You know what, yeah, with that face of Chipper, and just looking at him, every time I see him, I think of it, Joe. His face is baseball. It's a baseball face. Hershiser to Olerud, a nice, neat, compact 1-2-3 inning for Oral on 7 pitches. 2-2 here in Atlanta. Top of the 5th inning, a 2-2 game, all on home runs. 2-run shot Chipper Jones in the first, 2-run shot Mike Piazza in the fourth. And that's where we stand here with the top of the Mets lineup. Ricky Henderson, Edgardo Alfonzo, and John Olerud to face Tom Glavine. 2 runs, 5 hits for the Mets. 2 runs, 2 hits for the Braves. Chris Berman along with Joe Morgan. And Hershiser certainly is in a groove, and Glavine needs to refine his, if you will.
Well, I think Glavine understands what he has to do the rest of the way. He's just going to have to stay away from trying to pitch these right-handers inside. He has not been able to stay consistently sharp inside. He's left some balls over the plate, so I expect him just to stay away from the hitters from now on, especially the hitters that can hurt him. And he starts off by throwing Ricky Henderson away. I think you'll see Tom Glavine go out of the way with change-ups and fastballs. And the change-up he misses with. Last night, John Smoltz started hanging a few breaking balls early in the ball game. And after that, he said, I want to foul it. He went to nothing but fastballs and change-up. And he was successful.
Ricky is 0 for 2. Ripped, but right. Hit Chipper Jones, and there is 1 out. And Chipper was the old goalie, eh?
And that's a bullet by Ricky Henderson. Because it was 2-0, Glavine had to get a little bit more of the plate than he would like, but he still kept the ball down. That was the key. As long as he keeps the ball down, he's not going to get hurt very often.
Edgardo Alfonzo flew out to left, flew out to right. Well, you made a comment earlier, Joe, which you just threw in there. Saying, do you think this may be, I mean, it's been much ballyhoo, but do you think this is defensive infield as good as you've ever seen? I mean, you played in one. It was pretty darn good.
I don't think that the infield I played on was as good, I guess, overall as this one. Meaning, you got Ventura at third, Concepcion at short, myself and Perez were a very good infield, I think.
Yeah.
But if you look at these guys, I mean, Concepcion and we both won several Gold Gloves, but we didn't win one at third base. They have Ventura, who has won Gold Gloves. And
Doggy win one?
No. I compared it last night. I said that, I thought about the best infield that I would compare it to, I guess, would be the infield of Brooks Robinson, Mark Belanger, Davey Johnson, and Boo Powell. So I compared it to that because all 3 of the other guys, Belanger, Johnson, and Boo Powell, would win a lot of Gold Gloves. So I compared it to that infield.
I mean, he made the move to second base.
Right.
Alfonso with it's easy.
Yeah, I think he's a good player. I mean, he's got to be a good infielder. You got to have quick feet, quick hands, and good hand-eye coordination. And all of these guys have that.
Sky to right. Brian Jordan. 2 outs. And that'll bring up John Olerud. You know, it's fun to see, if you're a baseball fan, to see guys like Oral Hershiser, Cy Young Award winner 11 years ago, Tommy Glavine, Cy Young Award winner twice here in the 90s, Oral, who got his 200th win this year, Joe. Look, the ERA is exactly the same. Each has been an MVP in a World Series. We talked about Hershiser with the Dodgers against Oakland, and Tommy Glavine pitched that great game in Game 6 in Atlanta for Cleveland, against Cleveland. Just to see them continue to pitch at high levels, you know, way into their career. Hershiser in his 40s now. Tommy Glavine actually is only 33. I mean, you think he's older than that. He will have a better year next year. I just have that feeling. It's amazing. All those exactly the same ERA after 457 starts for Hershiser, 396 starts for Glavine. It's a lot of innings. John Olerud to left center field, but Andrew Jones just makes it look so easy. And a 1-2 creating for Glavine after he went for 2 runs in the 4th. We head to the bottom of the 5th. 2-2 game. The Mets and Braves in Game 2 of this 3-game set. Crucial 3-game set here in Atlanta. College football tomorrow night. We begin with college game night at 7:30 Eastern time, and then them Clemson Tigers headed to Virginia Tech to face the Hokies in Blacksburg, Virginia. Michael Vick, quarterback, Virginia Tech, highlighted. Latest issue of ESPN magazine. Brandon Streeter for Clemson, 343 yards passing last week against Virginia. That's his school record. That's tomorrow night. College football from Blacksburg, Virginia. 7-8-9 for the Braves here in the bottom of the 5th. Eddie Perez, Walt, 3 blind Weiss, and Tommy Glavine. And Perez with the first base hit since Chipper Jones' home run in the 1st inning. Hershiser had retired 11 in a row with only 1 ball getting out of the infield, but Perez with a single. Let's go to Bill Pito.
All right, Chris, the Reds and Padres follow the Mets and Braves tonight on ESPN. Meanwhile, Houston, 3.5 games in front of Cincinnati as play begins. Astros and Pirates tied up at 2. Kevin Young base hit. Drives in Abraham Nunez. Pirates now up 3-2, playing the top of the 8th.
So the Pirates are pesky, and it's interesting we bring that up because the Mets finish with 3 home games against Pittsburgh, while Atlanta finishes with 3 home games against Florida. So at the very end, you would think that Atlanta would have a better chance of the Mets. But Pittsburgh's got some good pitching, Joe.
A lot of times I hear this statement, I don't quite understand it. I hear teams or players say, well, the other team, they have nothing to lose, they're playing loose. You know, if you're better than the other team, you should have confidence that you can beat them, and you shouldn't tighten up. I don't think that's something that you should think about. If you're better, just go out and beat them.
Bouncing it foul is Walt Weiss. It's the first time in the 2 games, Joe, that the Braves have had a leadoff man on in either of the games. Eddie Perez on it. Yeah, but here's here's Perez at first base. Back to Weiss. Personally, one of my favorite players. Just as the way he plays. You know, we were joking before the game, and I said, Walter, you know, you owe Oral a couple from that '88 World Series when you were a rookie, and he just handcuffed you guys with Oakland. He was a rookie on the Oakland A's. Oral won Game 2 and Game 5. I know it's a long time ago. He says, yeah, you're right. I said, for 11 years, I've been chasing that darn guy.
Yeah, I don't think you forget.
Walt really with the injury, with the thigh, and you know, I mean, he's still on the Braves, but here's another guy in April. Okay, here's our shortstop that really isn't the shortstop. He's really playing for the first time in 2-3 weeks.
Bobby tried a hit and run on the first pitch. Now he's back to a 2-2 count. If he wanted to put a hit and run on again, this is the perfect time to do it. Nothing happening, but he did try a hit and run on the very first pitch of this at bat.
Weiss from Rockland County, just across the Tappan Zee Bridge, if you will, and we'll call it upstate New York if you're from New York City, but it's really only about an hour out. Suffern, New York. Rookie of the year in the American League back in '88 with those A's. Outside, 3-2. Joe, do you just take your chances with a fastball here? I mean,
well, he's going to have to throw a fastball. He's just going to have to try to sink it. He's not going to take a chance on walking him with Glavine coming up to bunt them both over on the next hitter. The question is whether they're going to put Perez in motion or not. Yes.
Yes, he goes. And Weiss fouls it back off the paraphernalia, if you will.
And I think that's a good play. I think you should run the guy simply because if you're Bobby Cox, you're not going to sit back and let these guys just hit, you play the offense the way they played it earlier when you had all your guns. You're missing, some of the power from your lineup, so you're going to have to manufacture some runs, do some things that you may not normally do. And I think in this situation here, you have a catcher at first base, but I think you still have to run him. That'll keep you out of the double play for one thing. And if he does put the ball in play, you have a runner in scoring position, and that will allow Tom Glavine, who's a pretty good hitter, a chance to drive him in.
There goes Perez again, and we'll chop it foul past first base coach Glenn Mother Hubbard. Again, if you hadn't seen the paper today or been kind of in a rut for a day, a 2-1 win by the Braves last night gives them not only a 2-game lead over the Mets, they have the best record in the majors. Remember, they play a day game here tomorrow, and then they play 3 at Shea Stadium next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So these teams will be quite familiar with each other by the end of next week. That was inside, but Weiss offered at it anyway with Perez moving, and we'll do it again.
Well, it puts a little pressure on Weiss when you have a catcher running at first base. He knows he can't strike out. He knows he can't take strike 3. So anything close, he's going to have to go for it. And that does change his philosophy up there as a hitter. He's got to put the ball in play.
It's been the 10th pitch of this at-bat, Joe.
Good job by Weiss. Because he fell behind early in the count.
Olerud with that half hold, half defensive position at first. There goes Perez again. Here comes the throw from Piazza. And it certainly wasn't one of Michael's better throws, but Perez certainly not fast, and it bounced on the right side. So the strategy backfires for the Atlanta Braves on a pitch that looked pretty much to be ball 4, Joe.
Well, I guarantee it was ball 4, but I'm surprised Eddie Perez was not getting any lead at first base. Otherwise, he would have been able to beat this throw. And John Olerud is playing way up. And you can see that ball way down and in. Actually, a tough pitch for Piazza to have to throw on. And he does throw one hopper, and Ordonez gets there and tags him out. And I still think it was a good play by Cox. I mean, again, you have to do something. You have to try to manufacture some runs here. And it really doesn't hurt because now you have Glavine up, and even if he doesn't get a base hit, you have your leadoff hitter leading off next inning.
Tommy this year came in hitting at 117, and he ran out to second base. He's a lifetime 205 hitter. And he does know that chicks dig the long ball. He has 1 home run.
I think that is a fact, though.
I will agree. Hershiser got a hit off Glavine. Can Glavine get a hit off Hershiser? And it's 2-2 to Glavine. 2-2 game, bottom of the 5th inning. And he waved at that one, so Hershiser, who didn't have 1 strikeout going into this inning, now has a pair. Coming up for the Mets, Mike Piazza, who hit an absolute torch his last time up to tie the game. For the 6th inning, a 2-2 game, pivotal game here with regards to the National League East and postseason in general. And Mike Piazza took a 2-0 deficit and no doubted it off Tom Glavine his last time up in the 4th inning. Gives him 117 RBIs for the season, which ties him for the single season mark for a New York Met. Howard Johnson and Bernard Gilkey each had 117. And now Piazza has a .117. The good news for the Braves, Piazza comes up with the bases empty. Olerud had singled, Piazza had homered, and that tied the game. in there for a strike. So Glavine, after giving up 2 runs on 3 hits in the 4th inning, there's Piazza to right field, but Brian Jordan is there, a step on the track. Boy, hardly got a good rip at it, and still it carried about 380 feet.
But that's exactly what you want to do, is try to stay away from him. You do not want to, you know, last time up he tried to get inside, he didn't do it, so he stays away. At least that takes a little of the punishment out of his bat anyway by staying away. So he extends out and goes the other way. And that gets away from a little of his power. He can still hit it out that way as well, though.
No question. Joe, unlike you this half inning, Mike Piazza could not dial long distance. Robin Ventura up.
That's pretty good.
Well, trying to keep everybody loose here in the booth. Robin Ventura is 0 for 2. Grounded to second base and struck out. Well, Ventura just was so happy to be in a pennant race. You know, we were talking about, I said, you remember these days, Robin, when you were the young White Sox chasing Oakland, and then you got over that hump in '93, and they had a good young team. And then '94 was a strike year, and the Cleveland emerged, and that was it. He goes, yeah, we were trading guys away in the middle of pennant races. So I'm just so happy to be in one of these. I mean, it's what you dream about. You take them for granted when you're in them when you're young.
You're right. You do take things for granted. I mean, baseball players have a tendency to do that, but now I'm sure he appreciates this more than the first time around.
Plesko will give it a look, but this is way out of play. It was a good young team they had in Chicago.
Yeah.
Young Frank Thomas. Of course, McDowell on the mound. Alex Fernandez. Ray. Alvarez. They were coming. And they won '93, but Toronto with Olerud was too good. Ventura with a walk. And 1 out. That'll bring up Benny Agbayani, the ESPN magazine. Michael Jordan's fantasy basketball tip. You can ask him about it, Joe. Spend the money, get schooled by MJ. The diary of a week at camp. A panel of baseball experts discuss who or what is responsible for the home run race and chase. What does it mean for baseball? You know what, Joe? When you're at the airport and you're leaving tomorrow, just go buy it at the newsstand, will you?
I will. I'll buy it tomorrow on the newsstand.
And ask Michael, you know, how the camp was.
I will when I
you
talk
ask
to
him
him.
for me, you can talk to those guys.
Make a note here. How was the camp?
Boomer wants to know.
Boomer wants to know.
The big guy. Benny Agbayani has 2 hits tonight. Single to center and single to right. So Agbayani playing against the lefty instead of Cedeno. It was not a platoon that Bobby Valentine was second-guessing himself. I mean, that was not a question at the cage when he had Dunston in and then decided to start Hamilton in center field. He was going with this all the way. Well, Agbayani became a real favorite of the Mets fans right away. Came in, hit some home runs, came up from AAA in Norfolk. Hit all those 11 home runs in less than his first 100 at-bats. Then he went into a home run, not a slump, it was more like a deep freeze.
That's amazing. 160 at-bats without a home run, right?
After hitting.
Yeah. That's amazing.
He had some bad poi, I think, for a while. You know what can happen when you have bad poi, Joe? Little snap throw by Perez, chance to see if Ventura was napping, and he almost got him. Meanwhile, Agbayani has struck out, 2 down. More bad poi.
Well, it's a nice play here by Perez. He snaps a throw down to first base. But Ventura back in time.
There's 3 strikeouts for Tommy Glavine. There it is again, with Plesko kind of trying to go the polar route with that tag.
That's the only time that being a left-hander hurts you. You know, in the pickoff is coming from the catcher. Normally, you prefer a left-handed first baseman because all the throws are toward the infield and his glove is on the infield side. So it usually helps you. But in that case, you're better off with a right-hander who can make a sweep tag.
This is Darrell Hamilton, who the Mets hope is a good luck charm. He was in Texas in '96 as the starting center fielder, the first time the Rangers ever got in the postseason. He was in San Francisco in center field in '97 when the Giants made it from the NL West. And we're hoping that kind of Lonnie Smith, hey, I'm here, that means we're in the postseason. Good vibes just kind of rub off here, and he's done a great job as a Met. I mean, and just a good class guy to have in the clubhouse. Grand slam a couple weeks ago. Very even keel. And let's face it, there was a problem with McRae. The clubhouse, whether it's he and the manager or this was uneasy, and it solved that situation. Not saying Brian is a problem, but there was a problem. 1-2 the count to Hamilton. 2-2 game. Ventura at first. Glavine just missed outside.
Good eye here by Hamilton. You see the target, and you see that Eddie Perez has to reach off to grab it. That tells you the ball was off the plate outside.
Ground ball to short. Walt Weiss to Boone to get Ventura on the fielder's choice. And we're heading to the bottom of the sixth in a 2-2 game here in Atlanta with Chipper Jones due up third.
Bill Pito back in the studio. Former Yankee farm hand, take two. Chris Singleton, he does take two. His second home run of the game, 16th of the year. Puts the White Sox up by the score of 3-1. But Darryl Strawberry, first homer at Yankee Stadium since August 30th, 1998. His second homer since his return. Yanks within one, bottom four.
All right, Billy, thank you very much. So the Yankees, they've been red hot, too. We kind of got them straightened out last week in Toronto. And, you know, Boston's in trouble. They'll pick up a game and really give themselves some breathing ground. We begin here, the top of the order in the bottom of the sixth inning. Gerald Williams, who has two fly balls to center field. Then Brett Boone, then the hero of these two games thus far, Chipper Jones. The Mets fans are going, oh no, he's up this inning? Whoa. Just got away from it, obviously. And the fans are booing, but in a 2-2 game to lead off the sixth inning with heavy metal coming up, I don't think so.
No.
I mean, obviously.
No doubt. I mean, that was definitely, the ball just got away from him. He's trying to, well, see, the target's way outside. He just misses. That ball just really tails in. He looked like he was trying to throw a sinker, and the grip just kind of slipped out of his hand. And that's a good spot to hit you if you're Gerald Williams. Just get on base. Yeah, Hershiser definitely didn't want to put a runner on base here in a tie ball game in the sixth inning.
Williams is aboard, and now Brett Boone is up. Boone doubled and scored on Jones's home run in the first inning and grounded to shortstop.
And one of the reasons you're probably not going to bunt here is because if he does bunt him, I guarantee they're not going to pitch to Chipper Jones this time if they have a base open. But so what you do is you may try hit and run, you may try something with Boone, but I just don't see Bobby Cox bunting him over. Although it looked like Boone was getting ready to square around right there. And a lot of people believe that this is Bobby Cox's best managing job of his career with all the injuries and everything else he's had to deal with.
Well, it's only their third pennant race, really, Joe. 91 when they first arrived on the scene. They had to beat the Dodgers. 93 was that great race with the Giants. But this was the first time in strike year 94, first time since that strike year 94 that even in August that they weren't in first place. So they haven't had that many pennant races. Here they are with the best record in baseball, and here's Boone with a 3-0 count with a runner at first with Chipper Jones in the on-deck circle.
And this is a very key batters, you know, I mean, you don't want to, you want to have a place to put Chipper Jones if you can. Now, here's another good situation. What do you do if you're Bobby Cox? Do you run Gerald Williams, who runs pretty well, and you have Brett Boone up there? Boone does strike out a lot, but another good situation where you can try to take advantage of the speed you have on your ball club. Nope.
Hitting the sky to center field. Darrell Hamilton is back in stage over the right field. Right center field makes the catch. Bluffing to go is Gerald Williams, and he'll go back to first with one out. And Chipper Jones coming up.
Boomer, a lot of people say, well, why do you keep pitching to this guy? Well, in the game, you have to pitch to guys in certain situations. I watched Kevin Mitchell one year hit 47 home runs, and the guys that hit behind him all collectively hit 197 with like 5 home runs. There are times when a pitcher just feels like I have to go after the guy. If there was a runner at second now, there's no doubt he'd pitch around him or even walk him. But I really believe that you're in a situation now where, I mean, they have to pitch to him. I mean, you just have to try to make good pitches. And that's what happens. And that's usually what happens when a guy gets hot, is because they have to pitch to him in certain situations.
Despite the fact the rest of the team is 8 for 44.
Well, if you're Hershiser and you're standing out there and you're looking in the on-deck circle, Klesko's over there, and you say, well, both of them are pretty good hitters. Chipper's hot. I just have to make good pitches. You have to concentrate harder. But if I was to guess, it doesn't look like he wants to pitch to Chipper right now, because he's not throwing a sinker away. He's just throwing the fastball that's running away. And the way that he got him out earlier in the ballgame was throw that sinker away and let him try to pull it on the ground.
Gets under this one to straightaway left field. Moving in a little bit is Ricky Henderson. Makes the catch. Williams back to first. So Jones now 1 for 3.
That wasn't the pitch that he wanted to make, but what he did get was a little late movement. Watch, this pitch gets the plate. Look at that, right in the middle, but it had some movement on it, late movement. And Hershiser's happy because he knows he got lucky there a little bit. That ball had some late movement, and that's what threw Chipper off.
So here we are now, Joe. Bottom of the 6th inning. We had Reed and Smoltz, the starters last night, giving up just a run apiece. We have Hershiser and Tommy Glavine, and about to finish 6, and when something happens here for the Braves, they've given up just 2 runs apiece. Pitching, pitching, and pitching. If you have it, you can win it all. If you don't, you're not going to.
Well, you're right. Although I must say that I do believe that we're getting to a point in baseball where you can out-hit the other teams and win a pennant.
Look at the play by the ageless Hershiser. A ballerina at 41 years. He makes the play. We're headed to the 7th, tied at 2.
ESPN Wednesday Night Baseball is brought to you by Michelin. Watch College Game Day Saturdays at 11 a.m. Eastern Time and find out how you can win with Michelin and ESPN. And by 1010-9000, America's Directory Assistance.
The scene at Turner Field. On a cool night, the last night of summer, and a hot ball game as the Mets and a 2-run homer by Piazza, and the Braves and a 2-run homer by Chipper Jones are knotted at 2. Well, Octavio Dotel was up throwing, but Orel has the jacket on, and he's going to come out and swat. Why not? 6 innings, just give up the 3 hits. And here's a swat by Ray Ordonez on the first pitch off Tom Glavine, and Ordonez, intentional walk, and now a base hit, has been aboard 2 of 3 times tonight, and Orel will come up to place a bunt.
Well, I've watched Ordonez. He is becoming a much better hitter each time I see him. I mean, he's learning how to hit in the big leagues, right back through the middle for a base hit. And he swings the bat pretty well now, and he's a great, great glove man.
Hershiser has singled and struck out. Most people in the park can expect him to drop one down. Drops one into the shin guards of Eddie Perez. Strike 1.
Well, one of the things that you need to do When a guy's trying to throw the fastball up, it's tougher to butt the high fastball than it is any other pitch. The high fastball, you got a chance of him popping it up in the air.
Perfect. Glavine will have to go to Boone. Ordonez to second base with the go-ahead run with 1 out. So Oral Hershiser, fundamentals, Joe.
Well, the ball is down. Glavine got the first pitch up and he fouled it. This pitch is already low, so it's easy to get on top of the ball when it's a low pitch. When it's a high pitch, it's tough to get the barrel of the bat up on top of the ball and keep from popping it up. But a good job by Oral. But that's, you know, what you expect. Good pitchers are usually pretty good at sacrificing. Glavine, Maddox, Smoltz, they're all the same way. They're all good pitchers, and they're good at sacrificing in situations.
So then I'll bring up Ricky Henderson. Lined out hard at Chipper Jones's last time, up 0 for 3.
And it's not, you know, it's not a real good matchup for Glavine with Ricky Henderson. And my reason for saying that is that Ricky will take the ball the other way. Ricky's not a guy that just tries to pull everything. And that's the guys that are toughest on a guy like Glavine, who turns the ball over and throws off-speed pitches away. A guy that's going that way has a better chance than someone who's trying to pull the ball against Glavine.
Henderson goes to right field. Brian Jordan is there. Tagging is Ordonez. Here's the throw. And Ordonez with 2 outs into third base.
Ricky tried to go the other way, and he actually hit it hard, but he doesn't get it on the line. But that's what he tries to do. He goes the other way on left-handed pitching. Mulholland and Springer down in the bullpen.
And Mulholland's been a big pickup, Joe. Big pickup, the lefty, when he came over with Hernandez from the Chicago Cubs in the World Series. Spot start for you. Understands the role. You get a couple outs as a lefty. Well, here's Edgardo Alfonso looking for his first hit of the night.
And that's the first time that Glavine has come inside to a right-handed hitter since he tried to come inside on Piazza. But he made sure he got that off the plate. And that's just kind of a show-me pitch, because he wants to get Alfonso out by going away.
How about 103 ribbies batting second for Alfonso?
Amazing, especially in the National League, because American League, when you have a guy hitting second, you have a DH, you're really almost hitting third sometimes. But in the National League, you are hitting second. And it looks to me like he just says, okay, I'll try to get John Olerud out, because he came way off the plate inside, fastball away, and then he comes back with a changeup. Yes, and now they're just going to go ahead and walk him. And that's the way he was pitching to Alfonso anyway, is that he wasn't going to try to get him out. He wanted to try to get Olerud out.
So runners at the corners, 2-2 game, 2 out, top 7. And John Olerud, 1 for 3 tonight, comes to the plate. He singled and then scored on Piazza's 2-run bomb in the 4th. Olerud, one-time batting champ, the American League with the Toronto Blue Jays.
And you'll have to wait and see what kind of pattern he wants to use with Olerud. I think if you're Olerud, you can, after the first pitch, you should know exactly how he wants to get you out.
Olerud does pretty well lifetime against Glavine, 7 for 18, 389. And we know what Piazza can do. And here's the man right here. Fly ball to left. Should be easy for Gerald Williams. And the Mets strand a pair. Glavine does the right thing. Ends up walking Alfonso and gets Olerud to left. 7th inning stretch here in Atlanta.
Este programa de ESPN.
Our Goodyear key plays of the game, 2 two-run home runs. First inning, it was Chipper Jones, his 3rd homer in 2 nights. 2-run shot gave Tom Glavine a 2-0 lead over Oral Hershiser until in the 4th. Mike Piazza's bomb to left. Tied it at 2, and we stay that way till 7th inning stretch time here in Atlanta. 47,520 watching and hoping the Braves can come through in the second of 6 games between these two combatants in the NL East in the last 2 weeks. Day game here tomorrow. Al Leiter for the Mets, Greg Maddux for Atlanta. And then 3 in New York Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And Millwood will probably pitch one of those games for Atlanta the way the rotation works out. So last night, Joe, John Smoltz got the key strikeout of Ricky Henderson with a pair aboard. 1 pitch, 1 out for Brian Jordan in the infield. Well, what we started to say is they got the big strikeout last night by Smoltz, and then here's Glavine wriggling free from 2 guys on in the 7th inning. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Commissioner of Baseball. May not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and description of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent.
When you look at Brian Jordan, I mean, a lot of times it's easier to hit when you have something wrong with your legs or some other part of your body. It's very difficult to hit when there's something wrong with your hands because you become tentative. You lose your bat speed, and you're not aggressive at the plate. So I really think that, you know, it's much tougher for him.
Over a leaping Ordonez, Andrew Jones is aboard here in the bottom of the 7th inning. So Jones's first hit of the night. Just the Braves' 4th.
Well, it's a breaking ball, and he doesn't get it where he wants it. He wants it away, but it's a breaking ball in the middle of the plate. And Jones hits a line drive over Ordonez's head. And I think if you're Bobby Valentine, you have to watch Hershiser very closely, because if he starts getting the ball up this late in the game with the loss of velocity, he's going to get knocked around a little bit. But if he keeps the ball down, he's going to be all right. So that's what you watch for.
Well, 2 starts ago, as he steps in against Eddie Perez, 2 starts ago may have been one of the most important starts that he had and one of the most important games that the Mets had. They began a West Coast trip after a day game in New York. The next night, they began a West Coast trip in L.A., and he beat Kevin Brown 3-1. You know, that might be those Eastern teams playing a night game, that first game West Coast. You know, that's the hardest one. He went 8 innings in that game, Joe, although he only pitched 94 pitches. But you know, that going 8 innings in September, that was not something that the Mets were sure they would have with Oral Hershiser.
And no matter what, just to beat Kevin Brown,
yep,
even whether it's a long trip after a long trip or not, he's been pitching great lately.
Eddie Perez singled his last time up, then was out stealing on a hit and run, but the problem was there was no hit.
Well, you have to watch Hershiser. I mean, he almost did it there. You have to watch his front knee. He'll give you that little bend in his knee, which means he's supposed to go to the plate, as you see Dotel throwing in the bullpen.
Yeah, he can throw some lightning, too.
See, if he gives you that little bent knee, he's supposed to go to the plate. And a lot of guys are very good at bending that knee slightly and then throwing to first base.
Andrew with 23 stolen bases on the year. Bluffs going, pitch inside and high. 1-0 to Perez.
That's kind of a lost art what Perez did there, too, is that when a guy's going to steal, if he takes off, you get in a bunting position and pull the bat back. That keeps the catcher back. Junior Gilliam used to do that for Maury Wills. A lot of guys think if you swing through the pitch, it helps, but if you pull the bat back, it helps.
There goes the runner to chopper over the head of Ventura. So Jones moving on the play will take third base. This time the Braves moving paid off. It didn't the last time involving Perez when he's on the base path. This time the Braves have runners at the corners with just 1 out.
Well, again, I think you have to give Bobby Cox credit because he puts a hit and run on, and he's able to get the ball over Ventura's head at third base. And because Jones was running, he's able to get around the third base. And now he's there with 1 down here in the 7th inning.
Bobby Cox will continue to turn the wheels. He will pinch hit for Walt Weiss. And a very good guy with the bat, very versatile player, Keith Lockhart. will step to the plate.
Well, the one thing you look for sometimes is a squeeze play in this situation. But I think if he was going to try a squeeze, he would have left Walt Weiss in. I think Weiss is a better bunter than Lockhart. I think he brings Lockhart in because Lockhart's a pretty good fastball hitter, and he can get the ball in the air. Lockhart hits a lot of fly balls. There's Walt Weiss. I'm sure he's not happy. He would like to be hitting in this situation himself. But Lockhart is their best pinch hitter. And I think Bobby feels, hey, if I can get the run in now, I might be able to hold on and win this ball game.
Lockhart this year just his 147th at bat. He's hitting at 240. Andrew Jones, the lead run at third. Eddie Perez is at first base with one out here, bottom of the seventh. Lockhart to center field. Sliding and catching is Darrell Hamilton. Here's the throw. Cut off. Jones scores. Braves lead at 3-2.
Well, he didn't hit it hard, but that's what Lockhart does. He hits the ball in the air. And that's why Bobby Cox decided to bring him in instead of letting Walt Weiss hit. He knows the situation. And now they're going to let Glavine hit since the go-ahead run was able to score. Now watch the swing. Little uppercut right there. You can see, and that's the way Lockhart swings. And Bobby Cox knows that. He knows that he has a better chance of getting Hershiser's sinker in the air than Weiss does. And it's a fine running catch there by Hamilton. But the fact that he was sliding, he had no chance to get up and throw out the fast-running Andrew Jones.
Bunt all the way, Joe? I guess not with 2 outs, huh? That would be the catch by Hamilton that I forgot to write down rather than the drop.
Yeah, you forgot.
I guess bunt none of the way, huh? I'm in my football mode here.
It's all right.
You know? What we call it brain cramp.
Yeah, but see, if you'd have left it alone, I could have covered it for you.
You did a good job.
Well, I was going to say that he might drag one here.
You were, see,
you should have left
that's why
it.
you're my man.
Yeah, if you'd have left it alone, we're partners. I'm supposed to help you. I might need some help, too.
Well, it depends how often you want to dial long distance. Oh, man. It's a great catch by Hamilton.
It was.
It was not easy. You know what the Braves have finally done after 16 innings? Well, actually, they only batted 8 innings last night, so 15 innings. They scored a run without Chipper hitting a homer. Lockhart did the job, batting for Weiss, who he's sitting next to. It's okay when you pinch hit for somebody, then you do the job for the guy, and then, well, you sit down next to me. We're partners, right? But if he had not done it, Weiss would have said, don't sit here.
Hey, probably would have said, I could have done that.
Yeah. Both of these teams have such good bullpens, but Carl's not gone out there early tonight with the way that Hershiser and Glavine have pitched. 2-2 with 2 outs to Glavine. I just had a feeling Tommy Glavine would come up big tonight. Here's a guy that Dave Wallace, the pitching coach, Robbie Valentine. Look on. Fouled it off. I mean, the last 4 starts for Glavine, in which he was 0-2. 23 innings pitched, 17 runs. There's a major turnaround here tonight, Joe. He's only won twice since July 31st.
Well,
big game, though.
The interesting thing is Smoltz, Glavine, Millwood, and Maddox were 0-4 in their last, 4 decisions coming into this series. But they're big game pitchers, and they know how to deal with the situation.
Rock and Leo Mazzoni. Actually, that's not a big rock considering it's, a 1-run game in the 7th inning. Usually he's splintering the bench at this point, isn't he? Glavine draws a base on ball. So 2 on now for the top of the order, Gerald Williams. And it's certainly not something that Hershiser wanted to do. He is warm and ready to go. The youngster, the rookie Octavio Dotel, and he may be ready to go right now. We'll see, as it's Dave Wallace making the move. Dotel was in the starting rotation, but he could be great, or they figured, well, we're not sure, so let's put him in the bullpen and give Rick Reed to start. They kind of juggled it a little bit. He may still start this weekend, Joe, Dotel, because Kenny Rogers is sore a little bit, but this would be his throwing day, so Bobby has no concern about throwing Dotel a little bit in this game and starting him over the weekend if necessary.
Well, they're going to stay with Oral Hershiser for the moment. And Oral seems to be throwing the ball pretty well still. I mean, he just had the chopper by Perez that bounced over Ventura's head. He's only had one ball that was really hit hard. That was the first base hit of the inning by Andrew Jones.
Perez, not good speed at second base. Glavine, pretty good speed. Good speed at first base. Gerald Williams pops this one up. This will be blown out of play. Gerald is 0 for 2 and reached on a hit by pitch. And the old Derriere his last time up. Hershiser, as we showed you, still under 100 pitches. And as you say, I mean, Andrew Jones hit it hard, but he's not been much hit hard between the Chipper home run and Andrew Jones's base hit.
But that's what the Atlanta Braves starting pitching staff does too. They keep the pressure on you. You go along in a tie ball game, or your team's not scoring runs, and they just keep the pressure on. You have to continue to make good pitches. Not for 3 innings or 4 innings, but for... Oh, man, they almost had the Perez at second base. It was very interesting what happened. They threw the ball back to Hershiser, and as Perez was walking back to second base with his back turned, he flipped it over to Ordonez. Now watch what happens when they throw the ball back to Hershiser. This is interesting. Now look at Perez. He turned his back, goes back to second base. Now, Hershiser flips the ball. Look at this. Casually, he makes sure he's not looking, flips it. Now he walks off the mound. Because if you're on the mound and one of the fielders has the ball, it's a balk. Now look at this. Somebody yelled at Perez just in time. I mean, he was only half a step from him. And there you see Gerald Williams yelling at him, and Perez can see Williams.
Joe, that was the non-hidden ball trick.
I mean, that's a beautiful way to do it, though.
That's
I've never
great.
seen it done like that. I mean, if Ordonez would have been just a step or two closer, it would have worked.
I've never seen that, but you've seen more baseball than I have.
I haven't seen that one before.
That was a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Moot point because Williams strikes out to end the inning. But the Braves have broken through on Lockhart's sacrifice fly. We're headed to the 8th with Piazza leading off. Mets down by a run. Chris Berman along with Big Joe Morgan. Hey, the pitchers have come up pretty big. Tommy Glavine and Oral Hershiser. And you would expect that, wouldn't you?
Well, I expected it. They had a rough start. I mean, both laid some pitches up in the strike zone in the first inning. And Hershiser got hurt in the first inning. But after that, they've settled down, and both of them have been able to keep the ball down and keep the other team from scoring. A little bad luck there for Hershiser, you know, in the 7th inning to allow the Braves to score a run. You know, a chopper over the drawn-in infield. Because to that point, actually, Hershiser was in more control of the game than Glavine was.
So I'm just not surprised that Tom Glavine came up big in this situation. No, this has not been a Glavine type year at all. 11-11. ERA in the 4s. Statistically his worst since 90, which is, I mean, that's like ancient history for Tommy Glavine and the Atlanta Braves. The new shortstop, by the way, as Piazza looks at ball 2, is Jose Hernandez, so he'll hit in the 8th spot, where Lockhart delivered the sac fly and pinch hit of the starting shortstop, Walt Weiss.
And you can see he's just going to stay away from Piazza. And if he misses, he misses. This is kind of the way you expect him to pitch Chipper Jones. Just, you know, if they can't get the pitch that they want, go ahead and walk him. And you can see that he stayed away. He hit an inside fastball for a home run, and every pitch since that time has been away.
3-1, Piazza taken. Piazza's 37th home run now has 117 RBIs. That two-run shot in the fourth. Fly ball outs to right field, so Mike is 1 for 3 and 2 for 7 in the series. Fouls this one away, and so now Glavine has battled back to 3-2.
You mentioned 117 RBIs. I really believe because there's so many runs scored now that 115 to 20 is more the measure of a home, like what used to be a 100 RBI season.
I agree. I call it Canadian. Ripped by Piazza again. Boy, that gets out there in a hurry. Gerald Williams up with it, and Piazza's let off the 8th with a single. So Tommy Glavine, who has pitched into the 8th inning, hasn't done it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 since 6 starts ago on the 20th of August. And you see you can get 3 guys up in the pen at once here in Atlanta. Russ Springer, Mike Remlinger, who won his 10th game last night, and John Rocker, who is the closer, is all the way on the right side of your screen. Triple barrel action in the bullpen. Swung on and missed by Robin Ventura, who was 0 for 2 and a walk. Hit in the hole, base hit. Charging is Jordan. Piazza will stop at second, and here come the Mets. Back-to-back singles with none out here in the top of the 8th.
Well, what Glavine was trying to do there was stay away from him so he couldn't pull it in the hole there. But Ventura got good extension and was able to pull the ball. It was a pretty good pitch. The ball was down and away, so to speak, and he went out and got it. And watch where this pitch is. It's down, and it's away. But Ventura, trying to pull it, reaches out and pulls it in the hole. See, that's a good pitch by Glavine. He got it where he wanted. He just didn't get the results that he wanted.
Bobby Cox, on his way to the mound, has made the move. A single lefty for Remlinger. Call has gone out to the pen, and Tom Glavine has pitched a marvelous game here tonight. And the crowd of 47,000 plus appreciates their hometown hero, as they have so many times in the past. Glavine leaves, and we'll come back with a 3-2 game.
ESPN, the postseason. ESPN, the postseason. Every game a hero.
Well, certainly don't need to know about the drama here. The Mets trying to pull within 1 of the Braves. The Braves trying to extend their lead to 3. The Mets still lead handily by Cincinnati, 3.5 games in the wild card race, but the Mets want to win the division. Make no mistake about it. Tommy Glavine out. Mike Remlinger in. And Melvin Mora is the pinch hitter. Remlinger, who is now 10-1, was kind of a throw-in that deal for Brett Boone when they sent Denny Nagel over to Cincinnati. And he's pitched the best baseball of his professional career.
Well, they're pinch hitting here because they want to bunt. This tells you that they're going to bunt in this situation. The Agbayani was the schedule hitter, but they've decided they were going to bunt, and he's probably not as good a bunter as Maury is, so he decides to bring in Mora to bunt in this situation. And Remlinger does a good job against right-handed hitters is the reason he was brought in, because he's got a good sinker, and right-handed hitters are not hitting that well against him. 219 overall.
Mora bunts it, but is foul. So both Piazza back to second and Ventura back to first. Mike Remlinger played his college baseball at Dartmouth. Came up as a hum baby with Roger Craig for a cup of coffee while he was still managing the Giants in the early 90s. The opening day starter a year ago with the Reds in 98. 8-15 a year ago. Yeah, the Mets bullpen gets ballyhooed as it should, but despite the injuries, the Braves bullpen's done a great job. And when you get a guy 10-1, I would say he's one of them. In the dirt, Perez blocked it, now can't find it. He's got it in his head in his throwing hand and now can't find it.
Well, we talked about Remlinger throwing a sinker, and there you see it right in the dirt. As you mentioned, he started his career with the Giants, and when he first came up, I thought Remlinger was going to be a really good pitcher, and he still is. I thought he was going to be a starter at the time.
Mora cannot lay that one down.
Yeah, but you see what Remlinger did there? He threw the fastball up. And again, that's what you try to do when a guy is bunting. You get that ball up, and it's very hard. It's very difficult for the hitter to get on top of this pitch. See that? That pitch is up, and he can't get on top of it. Look at this. High fastball, really high. He was in a crouch, and you throw it up there, and it's tough to bunt. I don't think you can bunt him again here. They're in a situation now with 2 strikes where I think you just have to let Mora hit away.
Young man from Venezuela now trying to deliver.
And what you saw there, Remlinger, what he wanted to do was see if he was bunting. He kicked his leg up and went to second base. That's just to see if the hitter was bunting. And he is not. He does square around.
He does square around and gets it done. So with 2 strikes, he gives Bobby Valentine some palpitation to gets it done.
But I tell you, that was a beautiful decoy, because that's why Remlinger turned and threw to second base. He kicked his leg up to see if the guy was bunting, and he didn't give it away. And maybe he put it on afterwards, but that's exactly why he threw to second base. Good job here by Mora to get this ball down with 2 strikes. One of the things you have with 2 strikes, they're not charging, so all you have to do is get it on the ground, and that's what he does. It's easier actually to bunt in that situation than it would be when they were set up for the bunt.
Well, both managers making moves. Sean Dunston announced a pinch hit for Darrell Hamilton. Bobby Cox to the mound has made the sign to defend. Russ Springer is coming in with the Mets. Tying run 90 feet away.
2 entradas, $20.
Braves lead at 3-2 here in the top of the 8th with the Mets. With Piazza at third and Ventura at second. And here's our Pep Boys in-game box score. It's a good thing we've shown you this right now with Piazza with 2 hits, including a 2-run home run, because Joe, in the last 2 spots, we've had a pinch hitter and a new pitcher. And now in this spot, Hamilton's spot, we had a pinch hitter announce Dunston, a new pitcher come in, Russ Springer, and then a new pinch hitter, the lefty Matt Franco. So we had to get that box score up right now because it's obsolete. Franco is over for a lifetime against Springer, but he has delivered many a big-time pinch hit this year for the New York Mets.
Well, I'm surprised that they're pitching to him. They have first base open. He's a left-handed hitter, and you have the right-handed hitting Ordonez on deck. And maybe they aren't going to pitch to him. They're just throwing him as sinkers and pitches out of the zone and see if he'll swing at them. But I don't see why you even take the chance. I would just walk him completely. And now they are going to walk him.
Well, and this is a kind of an ignoble way to get in the record books. But this walk to Matt Franco as a pinch hitter. And here's Bobby Bonilla, who had a double as a pinch hitter last night. This is the 16th walk given to Franco this year, tying the National League record for pinch hitters walk in one season. National League, you remember Harry McCurdy of the 1933 Philadelphia Phillies, Joe.
Yeah, I remember him.
You remember Merv Reckman, though, in 1977. We just saw a National League record show. Now their bases loaded. And now Bobby Bonilla will pitch it. We mentioned his double last night in the seventh.
Well, you have a tough situation here. Well, they're going to bring in the left-hander. They're going to turn Bobby around and make him hit right-handed. Now, I really like this move because I think Bobby Bonilla can hurt you more from the left side.
So Terry Mulholland will come in. But if the Royals turn anymore, we'll be back.
ESPN Wednesday Night Baseball is brought to you by Just for Men. Just for Men blends away gray hair in 5 minutes. Looks so natural, no one can tell. And by Circuit City. Answers in every department, low prices all over the store.
Well, the wheels are turning so much, Joe, that, I don't know, I've done more writing in my scorebook than I did for a term paper that had it brown. Terry Mulholland, now the left-handed pitcher to face the pinch hitter, Bobby Bonilla. Jay Payton is a pinch runner at first for Matt Franco. So, Joe, we've had 4 pitchers, 4 pinch hitters, and a pinch runner here in the top of the 8th inning. But how does it stack up? Bonilla batting righty against the veteran Mulholland.
Well, he's stronger from the right side, but it's easier to double him up, of course, from the right side.
First pitch from Mulholland is high.
Bobby Bonilla doesn't get a lot of at-bats from the right side now that he's not playing regular, but he told me before he felt more comfortable right-handed in these types of situations.
Past a dancing third base coach, Cookie Days of Wine and Rojas.
But the real thing is that if he hits a ground ball here, he's much easier to double up from the right side. But when he was playing regular and swinging the bat well, you know, from both sides, getting a lot of at bat, he just felt like he hit better from the right side than he did the left side. And there you see he's done very well against Mulholland.
Mulholland ahead 1-2 now. So now finally this crowd, which frankly has been in a slumber for a game of this magnitude, has just remembered that this is a big situation. Where have you been? 1-2, bases loaded, 1 out, top 8. They'll let you know what happened. Mulholland strikes out Bonilla. They're 2 down.
Well, this is an interesting pitch. He has thrown a couple of sliders inside, and then he throws him a cut fastball, looks like, and Bobby swung right over the top of it.
So now with the bases loaded and 2 out on the pitcher's spot, Todd Avenging Annie Pratt will be the pinch hitter. Did a good job spelling Piazza earlier in the year. And he would be a hero if he could deliver a base hit to score 2. Just misses for ball 1. Piazza the runner at third, Ventura at second, and pinch runner Jay Payton is at first. Todd Pratt out of baseball a year or 2 ago. Came back to the Mets, has really helped him. But there's nowhere to put him, Joe.
Well, he's been patient here. He didn't go up. The first pitch was a pitch that started in the strike zone and broke out. He didn't chase it. That one never started in the strike zone. So now he's got Mulholland in a position where he can just zero in on one area of the plate and try to hammer something.
To Boone, to Clisto, and the Mets strand the bases full. Tommy Glavine could have been the loser. Now he could only be the winner. Heading to the bottom of the 8th, it's still 3-2 Atlanta.
hombres más fuertes del mundo también están aquí en ESPN.
Panasonic Blast, ahora la fidelidad a sus más altos niveles. Panasonic, tecnología que mueve al mundo. Panasonic.
Coming up next, Reds and Padres. The former Padre Greg Vaughn in September, he's been smoking. Now, the Reds come in 3 games behind Houston because the Stros lost at Pittsburgh. The final score was 3-2. Ritchie the win. Todd Ritchie, second complete game of the season. He's won a team-high 14 games.
All right, Billy, thank you. Here we had some excitement. Terry Mulholland doing the job, striking out Bonilla, getting Todd Pratt to ground to second base. And that was an excited Braves bench when Mulholland came off.
Well, Pratt gets a pitch to hit right there in the middle of the plate. Fastball up a little bit. Looked like he was a little bit out in front. He hit it off the end of the bat. But Brett Boone is able to make the play. Mulholland gets congratulations, and he deserves them. Getting out of that bases-loaded jam is not as easy as you think.
Well, we said earlier, a couple innings ago, Joe, that what a valuable pickup Mulholland was. He's been through the pressure cooker before, independent situations, and John Sherholtz wasn't able to necessarily make the, quote, big trade. But the one that he got Mulholland and Hernandez for shortstop and paid off with Weiss being injured. Mulholland helping out a bullpen that's been an unsung heroic part of this Braves effort to not only win the East, but maybe have the best record in all of baseball. I mean, they have a better record than the Yankees, anybody in the American League, too. Bobby Bowe couldn't deliver tonight with the bases full. And so with Hershiser pinch hit for Octavio Dotel, nicknamed by my son Doug Berman as Octavio Dotel, has been great at times with the 8-2 mark. 80 strikeouts, Joe, and 80 in the third innings. Know that he's electric.
Well, he's got a very good fastball. He's the guy that they think is a future starter for this ball club, and they think he's going to be a big-time starter. He's pitched some big games, some great games, but he's getting knocked around a little bit too. But that's the way it is with a young pitcher and learning to pitch in the big leagues.
All sorts of defensive changes after all the pinch hits, Joe. Louis Lopez will go to shortstop. New center fielder is Melvin Moore. The new right fielder is Roger Cedeno. Brett Boone, Chipper Jones, Ryan Klesko. See if they can get a little insurance for what ultimately will be John Rocker in his attempt for his 35th save. That one sailed 2-0. Joe, it took 8 innings for the crowd to really get into it. They were into it there, and the Braves, a lot of moves made. I mean, you can look back and say too many.
Well, if I was going to look back, and I don't think I did my job very well to start that inning, because when I looked up and I saw Mike Piazza starting off the inning, we're in the 8th inning, and you leave Tom Glavine in to pitch to him, I should have asked the question then, do you expect him to go 9 innings? If you do not expect him to go 9 innings, now is the time to take him out, because Piazza's the guy in this lineup that can hurt you, the same as Chipper Jones. And I would have brought in the right-hander to pitch to Piazza to start that inning.
So I was going to say that as your partner to cover you.
Right.
But I was just...
Well, I really should have brought that up, because it's easy to bring it up afterwards, but I should have brought it up at the time, because I really felt that Piazza was the guy.
Well, the crowd on their feet for this guy, because he is the guy. Can he duplicate last night exactly in which he homered in the first and homered in the eighth? He homered in the first tonight. Here he is in the eighth.
Well, he's got a situation here where you have a young pitcher like Dotel. Dotel's probably not afraid of Chipper Jones, and he thinks his stuff is good enough, so I expect him to try to get him out. I don't expect him to pitch around him.
You're not afraid of him yet.
No, exactly.
Yeah, well, there it is. He tried the gas, missed ball one, little low.
I don't expect him to back off. I mean, you know, when you're young, you're bulletproof. You think you can do anything. The veterans know that there are times you have to, you know, pull back a little bit. See, he just reaches back and throws it harder and harder. So he says, if you can handle my heat, go ahead.
James put low and away, 2-1. He's been impressive, has he not, Joe? Octavio Dotel?
Very impressive.
Up a little high to Chipper, 3-1. So Dotel has come in and walked the first too many face. Boone now to second, Chipper Jones to first. As we take a look now at our Pep Boys in-game box score for the Braves. Perez is the man with 2 hits tonight, as the Braves have been out-hit by the Mets 8-5. But it's the Braves who lead in yet another one-run game, 3-2. Now here comes move by Dave Wallace. Bobby Valentine, the Mets brain trust. Ryan Klesko, the lefty, coming up. Will go to the bullpen for a little left-handed relief. John Franco, who pitched last night, will try to come in and keep the Braves at bay. We'll be back.
El Peugeot 206 ha llegado a México.
En octubre, ESPN le da la vuelta al globo para traerles lo mejor del mundo del deporte. La Liga de Campeones de la UEFA continúa con los mejores clubes de Europa, batallando por los honores máximos del continente. ESPN le brinda cobertura exclusiva del torneo Copa América Jeep de voleibol. El automovilismo llega a su punto máximo. Tenemos la definición de la serie por el campeonato FedEx de la Kart y la Firestone Fórmula 3. En Holanda, los equipos de primera división disputan el derecho a llamarse campeón. El fútbol americano de la NFL ya está al robo vivo, y qué mejor que 2 partidos cada semana. En octubre, el Tour del ATP continúa con el Abierto Heineken y el Abierto Eurocard. El PGA y el Senior PGA tienen torneos a lo largo de todo el mes. El béisbol de las Grandes Ligas entra en su fase final, y en octubre se juegan los playoffs y la Serie Mundial corona un nuevo monarca. Y el fútbol de España nos reúne con los mejores equipos de la primera división. Lo mejor en materia deportiva alrededor del mundo en octubre en ESPN.
John Franco is on to pitch the bottom of the 8th with 416 saves, second all-time on the save list. Only Lee Arthur Smith with 478. Talked to Bobby Valentine before the game about Franco. He says, I can start using him now. He's had 6 outings. Looked pretty good last night. I can use him later in the games. Not so much, he didn't say not so much to close yet, but now he's going to be the last one other than Benitez, I think, in most cases.
Well, that'll be interesting, because Benitez has pitched very, very well for them, and he's, you know, he's an overpowering pitcher. He's more of the closer type. He can overpower you, whereas Franco usually gets you to hit the ground ball, and he keeps the ball down. It's tough to get the ball in the air off of it.
No, what I meant by that was, I mean, last night he at Cook, he said maybe I should have had Franco at that.
Well, I thought that last night, but again, it's, you know, they know their bullpens and their players a little better than I do. But I thought you should have had Franco in there because he's tougher to get the ball in the air off of. And there you take the risk of the home run away from Chipper in yesterday's ball game. But, I mean, that's just a matter of who you want to send out there. And Cook has done well in those types of situations in the past.
Very well. Franco, though, is now after 6 outings. Bobby Valentine says I'm real comfortable with him. They use him later and later in the game. Boone at second, Chipper Jones at first, and now batting for Ryan Klesko. And I'm sure staying in the game at first base will be Brian Hunter, young man who came up in the early 90s with the Braves and really never delivered on his potential. Bounced around a couple places, Seattle one place, but now he is back.
And I've seen him bunt in these types of situations, so it wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't try to bunt the runners over here.
Fastball up and outside, ball 1.
And I think this is a good play personally because Franco has a good sinker, and it's going to be tougher to get the ball in the air, so you're taking away part of the percentages for the double play. I would think that he would try to bunt him until if he gets way ahead in the count, he may let him swing away.
Way up high, ball 2. Ventura will go in to have a word with the veteran left-hander Franco.
And if you're Bobby Cox, you say, well, am I going to have him bunt here when the guy's like erratic as he is? Or am I going to let him take a shot at trying to, hit the ball? Or do I make him take one? Those are the choices you have.
Oh, lays it down with backspin. Piazza makes the throw to Alfonso covering. He backed that bunt up, Joe.
That was beautiful. So there's no play any place for the Mets on that except first base. Great job there by Brian Hunter. Now, as you mentioned, not only does he get in a perfect spot, but he deadens the ball right out there on the grass. And look at that. Piazza has to come and get it and make the throw.
Perfect. Like your short game.
I wish it was that good.
So here's Brian Jordan with a base open with Boone at third and Chipper Jones at second base.
Well, Jordan's going to have to prove to the Mets that he can drive the ball. I think that's what they're doing here. They're saying, well, he hasn't hit a ball out of the infield in the last 2 days. He has not been able to drive the ball since in the last 14 ball games. So let's see if he can hit the ball hard enough to get the runner in from third base, because the runner at third is the key here. You're the Mets, you're down 3-2. It doesn't matter, truthfully, whether you're down 5-2 or 4-2, I should say. One thing you want to do is make sure that runner at third doesn't score.
The chain a little bit on Jordan. 1-1. The Mets, of course, have a lot of work to go here, but if you're looking for the ninth, it'll be their top of the order. Henderson, Alfonso, Olerud, and then, hopefully for them, Piazza. So they have some guys that can handle the bat. All the pinch hitters were last inning. There'll be no pinch hitters in the top of the ninth for the Mets. But they may need a bunch of runs. Boone scores. Jones scores. Welcome back, Brian Jordan. The Braves have busted it open 5-2.
Well, that's why Bobby Cox said that every time Brian Jordan has had a situation where he could help the team or drive in a run with a key hit, he's done that this year until he was injured. This pitch is up. Watch where it is. Up. That's a high pitch for Franco. Franco usually likes to keep the ball down much lower with his sinker. Gets it up, and Jordan's able to get the barrel out front and line it to left field for a base hit.
108 RBIs now for Brian Jordan, who began his professional career here in Atlanta, but with the Falcons as a strong safety for Jerry Glanville. He is making his presence felt here in Atlanta this year, for sure.
And the great thing there is that He had not hit a ball out of the infield. Pinch hitting last night, he walked, and today he hit little ground balls and pop-ups. I mean, he had not been swinging the bat well, but he got runners in scoring position, and he got the job done. I guess Franco is concerned because Jordan came in last night. He walked, but he stole a base in this situation.
The Mets do that half hold on there, right? And Olerud kind of able to dart back for a pickoff throw, but in defensive position, hit pretty well to right field. And back on the track is Roger Cedeno making the grab. Jordan back to first on a ball hit well by Andrew Jones. There are 2 outs. Well, in this inning, we can't overlook, and we showed it a few times, that bunt by Brian Hunter.
You're right. This pitch is up a little bit again. Franco has not been able to get the ball down like he usually does, but it's just a nice running catch there by Cedeno. The ball hit over his head, and he was able to get back in time to make the catch. I have not seen 3 hitters in a row like this, or 2 hitters in a row get the ball in the air off Franco in a long time.
Well, the balls he was missing were not low and away, Joe. They were up.
Right.
You know, I mean, you could just tell he was excited. I know he's pitched in many a big game, but he just didn't seem to have his usual motion on the ball.
Right. He definitely didn't have the sinking fastball like he usually throws.
Eddie Perez has 2 hits and hits this to pretty deep center field. And at the track is Melvin Moore and makes the catch, but the damage has been done. The Atlanta Braves hope to continue their hits on the New York Mets. Certainly in this yard, the Mets have to come up with a way to score 3 in the 9th or else. Here in Atlanta, we began with 2 Cy Young Award winners pitching beautifully. Chipper Jones, a 2-run shot. Mike Piazza, a 2-run shot. And Terry Mulholland came out of the pen in the 8th to preserve the bases loaded and the Mets not breaking through. With a 3-2 lead, the Braves have just hung a 2 spot in the bottom of the 8th, and now we head to the top of the 9th. And the Atlanta Braves are trying to make it 2 straight here over the Mets. Try to make it 6-2 against the Mets this year. Try to make it in this park, Joe, 10-1 the last 2 years. And even though this is largely a new Mets team, they have seen the old Atlanta metal, i.e. great starting pitching, and now they have to face a man that came in and struck out the side in the 9th last night, John Heavy Metal Rocker. 96 Ks in 66 in the 3rd inning.
Well, if you're the Mets, you have to say, well, he had 7 blown saves, so you know that he's not invincible, but he threw the ball so well last night. I don't think anybody could have scored any runs off of him last night. He had his best stuff with him last night. Question is, can he have that same stuff 2 nights in a row?
If you're the Mets or you're any team, and you say, okay, we're going to Atlanta, who's pitching? Smoltz, Glavine, Maddox. I don't care if that hasn't been vintage years for them, Joe. When you can trot those guys out, and you've seen the way the 2 of them, Smoltz and Glavine, have pitched, I don't know. Braves make themselves yet another case for why you think they can get to the World Series. So they haven't been there for a couple of years.
Well, a little different rocker tonight. Last night, I think he threw 7. His first 7 pitches were all strikes. Now he falls behind Ricky 2-0, and Ricky's definitely going to be taking. So he's going to have to throw some strikes.
But he had 11 pitches, 9 strikes last night, and 3 strikeouts. And this is one part that the Braves weren't sure of. Remember, Lightenberg was supposed to be the closer with maybe a little help from Rocker. He was gone before the year started. So this was a rush job a little bit for Rocker. He certainly, although 7 blown saves, delivered as well as they could have expected.
Oh, he's done a much better job than you could expect, simply because, I mean, 34 saves, that's a lot of saves. Yeah, he's had the 7 blown saves, but so what? I mean, he wasn't your #1 closer at the beginning of the season.
Well, he's walked Ricky Henderson to start the 9th. As opposed to last night, Joe, and you were here watching it.
Well, he threw strikes last night with all of his pitches, his fastball and his curveball. And he hasn't been able to throw a strike so far tonight. And that's the question you have about, you know, young closers. He was so hyped up after last night's game. Is he as hyped up tonight? Obviously not. And can he do it 2 nights in a row?
Big fella, 6'4", 225 from Statesboro here in Georgia. And he'll face Eduardo Alfonso with Olerud on deck and Piazza in the hole.
Well, if you're the Mets at this point, all you're trying to do is bring the tying run to the plate. And that's what Alfonso's job is here. Try to get on base just to bring the tying run to the plate. You really do not care about hitting a home run or whatever. Your job is to try to get the tying run to the plate. If it's a home run, he would do that, but that shouldn't be his priority. Just get on base any kind of way.
1-1 to Alfonso, who was 0 for 3 in a walk.
Well, this is definitely a different John Rocker than what we saw last night. He was overpowering and he was throwing strikes. Well, he gets some help there from Alfonso. That pitch is breaking ball in the dirt.
You're right, Joe. They just want to make sure that if and when Piazza comes up, that no matter what he does, it won't tie the game.
Yeah, that's if you're Atlanta.
Right.
And the Mets are just trying to get him up there so with the tying run at the plate. Or better yet, on base.
Chipper Jones gets the sure thing at second to Brent Boone, so the lead runner, Ricky Henderson, is out.
Well, I don't think it was going to be a double play anyway, but Chipper had trouble getting it out of his glove, so they were only able to get one at second base. But I don't think the ball was hit hard enough for a double play.
No one game can be crushing, really, Joe. I mean, unless it ends the season. But you know, 2 games, well pitched by the Mets. They know Greg Maddux is pitching tomorrow.
Well,
which on paper, I mean, here's my going into the 2 games. By the way, Reed had more wins than Smoltz going into last night, and Hershiser had more wins than Glavine. Maddox certainly has more wins than LA. Do they start to wonder?
Well, they should be wondering. I mean, you know that the Braves are tough, especially here at Turner Field. And if you're not able to come back tonight, you're looking at the prospect of a short night's sleep and coming right back and facing Greg Maddux.
Which might be no night's sleep.
Well, what has happened here is the Mets have really helped Rocker out, except for Ricky Henderson. He was very patient, but Alfonso swung a pitch in the dirt. Now we get the same reaction from Olerud. They have helped him out. He has not been at his best. He has not thrown a lot of strikes here.
Crowd on its feet. John Rocker trying to continue the impressive work in this series thus far of the Atlanta pen. 3 1/3 innings of scoreless relief as opposed to the Mets bullpen. 3 innings and they've given up 3 runs. The Mets were supposed to have an advantage in that department. Hasn't been that way this series. You know, another thing, Joe, and the game is not over yet, but against the good teams, the real good teams of the National League, these 2, Cincy, Houston, and Arizona. Atlanta right now is 24-8. The Mets 13-21.
Right. Well, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, the Braves know the teams that they have to really beat are the top teams, and their pitching matchups always favor the Braves almost. In every matchup almost, it favors the Braves.
Rocker and Perez will talk about it.
Well,
the playoffs begin, Joe, 2 weeks from yesterday here on ESPN. We will have game at 1 and game at 4 o'clock, and I'm guessing it's going to be the 2 National League games, which means we might see both of these teams the very first afternoon.
They wouldn't be playing each other.
They would not. Of course not. That cannot happen.
The Mets would probably play Houston, I guess.
Depends if they're the wild card.
Right.
We're getting ahead of ourselves, just wondering if we're going to see both of these teams or only one of them. As the Reds, the game that follows us, very interested that Houston lost and maybe the Mets will lose. Ground ball. Hernandez. Boom. Hunter. The Braves have taken 2 straight from the New York Mets. The Atlanta Braves, challenged this deep in the season for the first time in a long time, have stared their challengers in the face and said, not so fast. The Mets came in 1 out, hopeful of leaving Atlanta with the lead here in the National League East. And now all of a sudden it's the Braves with a 3-game lead as John Rocker has done the job following a leadoff walk.
Well, I think that Brett Boone makes the pivot at second base better than anyone else. And he's got a quick arm and a strong arm, and he knows how to turn it. And there you see Rocker almost as excited as last night.
So Chipper Jones, the batting hero. Last night, Smoltz. This time it's Tommy Glavine who wins his 12th. The Mets now trail the Braves by 3 games as the Braves continue with the best record in all of baseball. For Joe Morgan and all of us here in Atlanta, I'm Chris Berman. Hope you enjoyed it. The final, the Braves 5, the Mets 2. Now let's go out to San Diego.
Thank you, Boomer. And this is the final Padre home game of 1999. They're looking to play the spoiler role like they did last night. Astros beaten by Pittsburgh earlier tonight. The Reds are 3 back. They have been pursuing Houston all season long.